Home alone. The car pulled out of the driveway and Danny watched from the front window until the tail lights turned the corner and vanished. Then he just stood there a moment, listening. The house sounded different when it was only him in it. Not scarier, just bigger somehow, like the rooms had room to breathe. He was 12, and this was the first time he'd ever had an entire evening to himself. Not an hour while Mom ran errands, the whole night. On the kitchen counter, two $20 bills sat under a sticky note in his mother's handwriting. Pizza's on us. Doors locked. Call if anything. Dad had mussed his hair on the way out the door. You're the man of the house tonight, bud. Danny grinned, grabbed the remote and dropped onto the couch, like he'd been waiting his whole life for this exact moment. By 7, his stomach was staging a full protest against the video game marathon. He dug the pizza place's number out of the kitchen drawer. His mom kept everything filed like a tiny post office, and dialed, doing his best impression of someone who ordered pizza alone all the time. Yeah, hi. Large pepperoni, delivery please. He gave the address, hung up and went back to his game. Though now, every few minutes, his eyes drifted to the clock, like it owed him something. The doorbell rang at 7:40. Danny bounded over with the 20 ready in his fist. Outside stood a guy in an oversized red delivery jacket, pizza box balanced on one palm. Car idling at the curb behind him with its headlights carving two pale tunnels into the dark. The exchange should have taken 10 seconds. Box for cash? Done. Good night. Instead, the driver lingered. He tilted his head just slightly, and his eyes slid past Danny's shoulder. Into the living room, up the dark staircase, across the glow of the paused TV, cataloging the house like he was memorizing a floor plan. You home alone? 4 words. Casual, almost friendly. And somehow that friendliness made it worse, the way a smile can look wrong if it doesn't quite reach the eyes. Danny's stomach dropped, but he kept his face steady. No, my parents are literally pulling in right now, he said. They just ran to the store. The driver nodded slowly, not like he believed it, just like he was filing the answer away somewhere, and turned back toward his car without another word. Danny shut the door, threw the lock, and stood there a second longer than he needed to. That strange, prickling feeling clinging to him like static. Then the smell of pizza won out and he let it go. Hours have a way of melting when you're 12, alone and good at your video game. The fridge clicked on and off. Wind leaned against the windows and let go. By 10 o'clock, the pizza driver and his strange little question had faded into the background. Just one more odd, forgettable moment in an otherwise perfect night. Danny had no idea the house was still being watched. At 11, the doorbell rang again, and Danny was up and moving before the sound even finished. Already grinning, already thinking finally, they're home. He threw the door open on a stranger. Not the delivery driver. Someone else, entirely. Jacket zipped to the chin, hands stuffed in his pockets. And that same unhurried gaze, drifting past Danny into the house before it ever bothered to land on his face. Hey, sorry to bug you, the man said. Phone's dead. Car broke down up the street. Mind if I use yours real quick? Every nerve in Danny's body lit up at once, faster than thought, faster than reason. My parents are asleep, he said, stepping back. I can't let you in. Come on, kid. 2 seconds. A hand landed flat against the doorframe. Not shoving. Not yet. Just letting Danny know it could. Danny slammed the door and threw the deadbolt. The bell rang. Rang again. Then knuckles against the wood. harder each time, insistent in a way that had given up on being polite. He didn't remember crossing the kitchen, only that the phone was suddenly against his ear, and his mother's voice was on the other end, and his own voice came out cracked, smaller than he meant it to. "Mom, there's a man at the door. He won't leave. He wants to come in." Her voice didn't rise. It flattened, went calm in that terrifying, deliberate way parents' voices do when they're choosing every word on purpose. "Danny, go upstairs right now. Lock yourself in our bedroom. Do not open that door for anyone. I'm calling the police." He was already moving before she finished the sentence. Bedroom door shut. Deadbolt thrown. Danny sank down against the bed frame with his knees to his chest, phone still clutched in one hand, straining to hear anything at all. Downstairs, the bell had stopped ringing. Somehow that silence was worse than the noise had been. Then, faint but unmistakable, the low creak of the backyard gate swinging open. Nobody used that gate. It led straight to the sliding door off the kitchen, the one that never quite locked right, the one Dad kept meaning to fix and never did. A soft scrape, metal dragging in its track, the sound of a door that shouldn't open, opening anyway. And then, footsteps. Slow, unhurried, crossing the kitchen tile like they had all the time in the world. Someone was inside the house. The footsteps found the stairs and climbed without a moment of hesitation. No fumbling in the dark, no pause to get their bearings. Like the layout was already known. A door creaked open down the hall. His room. A pause. 3 seconds, 4. Then it shut again. Another door. The guest room. Same pause, same quiet retreat. This wasn't someone searching for something. This was someone checking rooms off a list. The footsteps stopped just outside his parents' bedroom. The knob turned. Once, caught against the lock. Turned again. Then came the knock. Not loud, not demanding, just 2 soft taps against the wood, almost gentle. No voice, no threat. The knock of someone who already knew there was a person on the other side and wasn't in any hurry at all. Danny clapped a hand over his own mouth and didn't dare breathe. The knob turned a 3rd time, and then at last, the footsteps retreated. Down the hall, down the stairs, the gate creaking one final time, and after that, a silence that would take a long time to trust again. Car doors, radios crackling, flashlight beams sweeping across the curtains like search patterns. Danny didn't move from his spot on the floor until an officer's voice, close and gentle, said his name through the door. His hands shook too badly to work the lock on the first try. Downstairs, the sliding door stood open exactly as the intruder had left it. Whoever he'd been, he was already gone, swallowed back into the dark before the first patrol car had even turned onto the street. The next afternoon, Danny told the police everything, including the strange question the delivery driver had asked hours before any of it started. His parents drove straight to the pizza shop, hoping for a name, a face, anything at all. The manager crossed his arms before they'd even finished explaining. "My guys don't do that," he said flatly. "I think you should leave." There was no footage, no confession, nothing that could ever prove the boy who'd asked, "Are you home alone at 7:40?" was connected to the man who knocked so patiently at 11. 2 strangers. 1 house, 1 question, answered twice, and no evidence that would ever hold up. The case went cold and stayed there. But Danny's parents didn't need a case file to know what they'd felt in their gut. Someone had known their son was alone that night and had come looking. After that, no matter how much older Danny got, they never once left him home by himself again.